Game 18 in the Leafs regular season as they take on the LA Kings at home tonight. And this is probably the weirdest I felt entering a regular season game in the Matthews, Nylander, Tavares era. Even before Tavares. I think, on one hand, you come off of another embarrassing game, which then tallies the losing streak to 3 straight games. But then you're going into the game against the Kings where it's like, okay, if Tuesday's game wasn't season on the line, must win, then tonight has to be more than ever. And, you're anticipating changes to the lineup, and you find out Matthews won't play and Stolarz won't play, which we'll dig into a little bit later, and Wall won't return to the NHL lineup here yet at this point. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe they'll bring up kids. Maybe they'll bring up Cowan. Maybe they'll give some fresh legs a shot. Not the case. We're going to dig into all that, the lineup, who's playing with who, thoughts on it all, as well as the fact that the LA Kings, who you're playing at home in Toronto, it might not be that comfortable of a home game. Obviously, how you're playing aside, the fact that the LA Kings are unbelievable on the road and just whomped the Montreal Canadiens the other day and do what you want to do better than you do. It's a weird game to be entering into. I'm Zach Phillips. This is a presentation of Bet365. In today's game preview, we'll get into the lineups. We'll get into who's playing, who's not playing, my thoughts on it all. Probably going to spend a little bit more time on who's not playing and frustrations with what the roster decisions are, more so than the actual line combinations. If that's all right with everybody, I think people will get it for an instance like this, as well as a best bet that is a first ever here on the Leafs Nation game preview. I have never done a bet like this. It's more of a fun one, but I just looked at everything, and I mean, maybe it's the approach to the game is leaving me with this lack of optimism, but it might have seeped into the bet. I'll leave it at that until we get to it. So let's head on over to Daily Faceoff, see what we've got for tonight's lineup. Let's just run through the lines. First line for tonight, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander. You stacked them. You said, screw it. You're all playing together. Down to your second line, Nick Robertson. Again, I'm not even going to touch on this guy. Deserves his top 6 spot. Was the game against Boston the greatest? Maybe not, but I mean, I don't think I looked at Nick Robertson once in that game and said, wow, this guy's playing poorly. Deserves his top 6 spot. Earned it. Good on him. Stays in the top 6. The other guys, interesting. Max Domi, Bobby McMahon. Max Domi was your 4th line right winger, and then subsequently your 4th line center when Scott Laughton went out like 2 days ago. Now he's your 2nd line center. This line of these 3 guys has found success in the past, but that was as your 3rd line, not as your 2nd line. Bump to your 2nd line tonight out of necessity. No Auston Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Nyes play together on the 1st line. 3rd line, Dakota Joshua, Nick Waugh, Matthias Maccelli. This line, not necessarily them being together, but just each individual guy has been the most divisive, or one of the groups of most divisive people that we've seen on the planet Earth since the start of this season. I think people misconstrued getting these guys after Marner left, with Brad Treliving was trying to replace Mitch Marner with these 3. I know Brad Treliving, and where you look at the team right now, you're not going to say, hey, I have the most confidence in these guys. I understand that from the fan base, and where people are going to disagree with me and be like, he hasn't done much to prove otherwise, and this was his plan. I'll hold out hope and give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, that I don't think he anticipated just straight up replacing Mitch Marner with these 3 guys. I think that they were brought in with some of that money, and the anticipation is you go out and you still add a top 6 guy. We know that they were in on JJ Peterka, and they're kicking tires on some other guys out there right now. They were throughout the summer. Like, they're calling everybody. And whether that means anything to you or not, the fact that they were at least calling and looking to add to their top 6 tells me at the end of the day, they weren't just like decidedly done and being like, well, we replaced Mitch, it's all good. They still knew. And, you know, you talk to Dave Pagnotta, who's here on this channel all the time. He always tells us they're still looking for a top 6. Like, from before the season to game 1 to game 18 here now, they've been looking. So I'm not going to harp on it for that. But Dakota Joshua, maybe I should just stop reading shit. My opinion of Dakota Joshua is I think he's been fine. I think he started really poorly, which I think, unfortunately, for people in this fan base, will hold on to and remember the beginning of the season and then just tune him out and count him out for whatever happens after that. You know, Dakota Joshua, I thought, was not great to start the year. I think he's slowly finding his footing. He's one of like the top 20 hitters in the NHL. That physicality is getting there. You know, we talked about how he was going to come in and be heavy on the forecheck, hard to play against, be a big physical guy. If you read half the comments online, it's like, this guy is a pussy. He doesn't hit anybody. And then you like look at the hitting stats and you watch it with the eye test and it's like, well, he's finishing checks. He's in on the forecheck and he wins battles below the goal line if they can get to the puck or get to the battle before it's just broken out. He gets there and he partakes in them and he hits. Like, he just does. But at the beginning of the season, it just wasn't there. And I'll give credit to people for that. At the beginning, it wasn't there. But it's like the same thing with the Scott Laughton argument. You know, he came into the team last year. He was not good down the stretch in the regular season and then into the playoffs. I completely get that from people. But Scott Laughton was really, really good in the preseason this year. Gets hurt. He looked really good in camp. He looked really good in practice sessions. Obviously, that's camp, practice sessions, preseason. But, you know, it was automatically written off. Well, this guy stinks. He's a bad trade because of what happened last year. Like, okay, players can change, evolve. Maybe they can get comfortable. I think things can change. Dakota Joshua, I think, is one of those guys who has gotten better. Nick Waugh, I think the one thing where everyone is just kind of like, what the hell is going on, is we had anticipated Nick Waugh to be this defensive shutdown center, which would then lead you to believe that Nick Waugh would go on defensive zone draws and against tough matchups, against first and second lines. And that would take defensive zone matchups and tough matchups, that is, away from Auston Matthews, away from John Tavares, to free those guys up. He's playing like 20, 25% or less against top-end talent. Auston Matthews is playing like 48% of his ice time against high-end players, top-end players. And I get it. Like, you want to go mano-a-mano, and if you are the best, you can beat the best. The point is, you're not even giving Nick Waugh an opportunity to take those guys on. You're not even giving Auston Matthews an opportunity to get the fuck away from those guys. I don't know if it's just that we overestimated Nick Waugh, but the fan base believed it. Current and former players believed it. Analysts believed it. Former coaches believed it. This coach and GM came out and said it. Like, everyone told you that Nick Waugh was going to do that, and it hasn't happened. So maybe they got the player, and he just looked different in what Vegas' system was, and now all of a sudden it doesn't work here. Or they just won't try it. But they're not getting that. And now all of a sudden you're hearing, well, I thought he was this defensive wizard. And then people are getting mad because there's no production. Because I don't even know what this guy's supposed to be right now. I think he's like a really good third line player that can provide some offense and be good on a forecheck, be good in a cycle game, and be defensively responsible. But like, his role is just so confusing. I don't even know if he knows what he's supposed to be doing. I don't fucking know what he's supposed to be doing. And I think that that's putting people into a frenzy. And then it's automatically tied to Mitch Marner, no matter what. I think if you just pick this guy up in a signing, you probably sit there and you're like, well, it's a signing, didn't work, whatever. Or, hey, it's fine. he works for his price tag. But because he came from Vegas in the Marner trade, it's just like automatically people just go, well, this is who we traded Mitch Marner for, as if the deal was just straight up 1-for-1, and that was the plan all along, was just, oh, Nick was the replacement for Marner, which wasn't the case. I still hold out hope for the guy. I think he figures it out. Maybe it's just wrong system, wrong coach. I don't fucking know. But I believe that there's a really good player in there who can be impactful. And I think it's not unlocked yet. Matthias Maccelli. Want to talk about splitting fan base. I kind of had made a declaration on Leafs Morning Take on the Wednesday ahead of the Utah game and said, Matthias Maccelli, I just don't think his ceiling is what we hoped it would be. And for that reason, I kind of had passed on Maccelli. Just because I don't know how he fits in the third line and the fourth line if your identity of what you're trying to build, like not what you are, because they don't have an identity, but the identity that we all assume they were trying to build, if that's a hard forechecking, big, physical, heavy team, and you're trying to establish that from line 1 to line 4, if this smaller, skilled guy doesn't work for you on line 1 and line 2, then why would he work in the bottom 6? Then a little bit to kick me in the teeth and tell me how much of an idiot I am, against Utah, he came out and he scores a goal and an assist. Game winner in that game. And then carry it over the other night on Saturday against Boston. He scores another goal in that game. And it's like, okay, well, he can produce some offense here. And to his credit, and to that line's credit, they kind of started to work well together. But then all of a sudden it flips, and it's like he goes unnoticeable, or he makes a horrible, horrible, horrible play, and then he does it again, and then he does it again, and then he loses a battle, and then he turns a puck over. And you're like, okay, well, there it is. Like, that's the issue that you have with this guy. And then you go online, and it's like the chart people being like, Matthias Maccelli needs to play 25 minutes a night. Look at the offensive chances on my chart. Okay, well, the guy threw up 6 pizzas up the middle over the last 3 games that resulted in clear chances, but sure, he generates a bunch in the offensive zone. Like, go to your fourth line. Sammy Blais, Steven Lorentz, Calle Jarnkrok. Sammy Blais hadn't scored an NHL goal in literally years until his game against Columbus. Yes, he was really good in the AHL last year with Abbotsford, but and he would won a Stanley Cup with Berube. But what is he? Not a skilled guy, plays a little bit of a harder game, a forechecking game, but okay, you're not playing him many minutes. He plays 7.5 minutes a night. Like 7.5 minutes a night is what you were doing when you were like our boy Jay Rosehill. That's not a diss on him, but Rosie was going out there and beating the wheels off of guys and providing an element that teams didn't have, and this team for sure shit does not have, and he would go out there and do that. Crash, bang, hit everything in sight, and then dummy guys. That's like a 7-minute-a-night guy. That's not something that happens in today's NHL anymore. Tom Wilson, Matthew Olivier, these are guys that can give you like 15-plus minutes a night. They can score goals. They're offensively effective. They play with your top lines. Steven Lorentz scores his first goal the other day of the year, dating back, I think it was 29 games. That Steven Lorentz had not scored in until he scored the goal the other night against Boston. I like Steven Lorentz. I think that he can fit that mold of, he moves his feet, forechecking, physical, can score. But, again, if it dries up, Steven Lorentz can kind of just fade into the night. Then you go over to Calle Jarnkrok, who's just been like, a reliable player. I know he's an NHL guy, but it's just kind of, what does this bring? And I think that when you go through the lineup and ask yourself about each individual player and then each line, at the end of it, you come to the conclusion of asking yourself and asking the team, the coach, the other, everybody, the general question is, well, what is he? What are they? And that kind of stems to the bigger issue you've got at hand when you're trying to determine an identity. And it's like their identity is not this and it doesn't work. It's not this and it doesn't work. It's that they don't have one. This team doesn't have an identity. It's confusing. Quickly here, just down to the defense for tonight. Riley, Carlo, first pair. Benoit, McCabe, Mermis, Ekman-Larsson. So Philippe Myers comes out. Chris Tanev still not back. I'm just going to put this all together here. I don't know what the goal for tonight is for the guys in that front office and for this team. My best guess would be this is your last chance. Show us or don't. And the reason I say that is because after the game against Boston the other day, I think the vast majority of the fan base had thrown in the towel on these guys, and deservingly so. You know, Leafs fans get this rep of like up and down, roller coaster, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of it is unfair, to be honest. Like, it's accurate because that's what we do and we deal with. But quite honestly, I think it's bullshit from other fan bases to throw that at this team. Unbelievable regular season team every year. And the only thing you ever hear from other fan bases and other analysts and whatever is, well, show us in the playoffs. And then they don't show you in the playoffs. And they fuck off and they lose it. You go through that of winning Atlantic divisions and North divisions and setting franchise records for points in a season and having guys win Hart trophies and being nominated for Selke trophies and Rocket Richards and 69 goals in a season and getting all these players all at all-star games and you load this all up. And everything about it, even externally, outside of the market, tells you you have amazing players. Projections, models, analysts, former coaches, current coach, everybody tells you this is a really good team. They're going to do really well. Then you get to the playoffs, and it loses. So you've been built up from July 1st, when free agency opens, to the day playoff starts to believe you have an amazing team. You watch them all regular season, and then for 2 weeks, the way that they played since the start of the year to playoffs is gone. It's eviscerated. The desire to win, the physicality, the buy-in, gone. It's all gone. Then you look at these guys, and they start to make changes. The changes everyone else says you should make. Heavy, physical, battle. Because you were right in watching those things. They got bullied. They got pushed around. They couldn't play playoff hockey. So then you build heavier, physical. Well, this team stinks. They can't get through the regular season. And then they do. And they win the Atlantic Division. Why would you not have high hopes for this team? You won the Atlantic Division with your 69 goal scorer, Rocky Richard Trophy captain, scoring 30 goals. There's got to be some sense of optimism in this fan base. And then you get to Game 5, and it gets ripped away. And then you get to Game 7, and it gets ripped away. All Leafs fans have had since 1967 is years of dark, dark times, then the most optimism ever, and then having it ripped away. And then dark, dark times, and then the most optimism ever, and then having it ripped away. It is a roller coaster. The city doesn't win much. The Blue Jays made it to the World Series for the first time in 32 years, went to Game 7 and blew a lead. Whether you're from Toronto or you're a Leafs fan and you're a Jays fan or not, that's what people here deal with. It's a jaded fan base. So Leafs fans have every right to be that upset. Every right. So I think a lot of people after the game on Tuesday thought, that's it. And you got to change things. Let's give kids a try. Let's give a new coach a try. And I think since Tuesday night leading into today, there was an expectation we were going to find out some new shit was happening. Easton Cowan didn't play yesterday for Grand Rapids. Most people, myself included, anticipated him to be slotting into this lineup tonight. No Auston Matthews. Spread some things out. Give Cowan a shot. You need new life here. And then he's not playing tonight. You're calling up Akhtiamov. You got Hildeby as your starting goalie. We all said Myers can't play anymore. You got a kid in the AHL right now, William Villanueva. He can move his feet. He can move the puck well. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the most mature guy. Maybe he's not the most NHL ready, but he's something different. And to be quite honest, I find it very hard to believe that he could be worse than what Dakota Mermis is giving you. I find it hard to believe he could be worse than what Philippe Myers is giving you. Because as bad as Philippe Myers has been, Dakota Mermis in his 2 outings, one of them he was unplayable, and the next one barely better. Better, but I think most of that was comparing it to the standard of what you saw out of the guy in the last game. We expected some types of changes for tonight, and nothing. Coach is still here. No kids from the Marlies. No young guys getting a shot right now. Everybody that was here with this roster just playing again tonight. And then down to your defense, I mean, you obviously are not going to have Tanev rush back. Lawton's not ready to go for the forward, so he's not going to play. But there's nothing. Like, none of this is an upgrade. So now the question becomes for tonight's game, is this an all or nothing game? Not a must win, but all or nothing. What I mean by that is, are Brad Treliving and the rest of MLSE effectively saying to Craig Berube and the team, this is your last chance. Show us in this game tonight against LA, or shit fucking changes tomorrow. Is that what they're telling them right now? Is that what they're telling them by not bringing up any kids and not giving them an out and not playing anybody from the AHL and not moving guys up and down and waving people and all that kind of shit? Is that what's happening? If it is, sure. Okay. But then my counterpoint to this is, if you win this game tonight, does it actually change anything for you? Or are you just delaying the inevitable? Because I don't think that this is like 17 games of this. I think that this is 9 years and 17 games. And just finally, it's like the most exaggerated it's ever been. It's the most broken open we've ever seen it. To the point where we almost just got to look at it and be like, we cannot deny this. Because in years past, as I mentioned, the roller coaster where you believe in the team, then you get to the playoffs and it falls apart, it's always been underlying there. You've always sort of known. But then it just comes out in the playoffs. You can see it get hidden in regular season, and then it comes out in the playoffs. This is just openly like, this is who we are. This is what we do. There's a lot that I'm interested to see about this game tonight, and to me, it's less so about who is this team, because I don't think we learned anything from the results of this game. To me, it's more so what is the direction of the front office and Brad Treliving? Because I think if you like squeak out a win tonight, I don't think it tells you enough. If you blow out the LA Kings and everyone all of a sudden plays better, maybe you say, okay, we will tinker. We're not going to mortgage the future. We're not going to trade Easton Cowan and Ben Danford. We're not going to trade picks. Like super high-end picks, that is, sorry. But we'll try to tinker. Maybe we have to get rid of some guys. Maybe we have to move some pieces around. And then if it goes really poorly, I just don't know how you don't wake up tomorrow and have a different coach coming in. I don't know how you don't wake up tomorrow and start calling Easton Cowan and Villeneuve and saying, get yourselves ready to play in the NHL because you're going to get a chance. Like, that's the direction I would be headed. With that long monologue, I apologize, but let's get to our pregame best bet. And again, one that I've never done before. So our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION. It's NATION, code NATION. You must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly at Bet365. Okay, let's jump on over to Bet365. So first of all, taking a look at tonight's odds for this game. The LA Kings are favored, no surprise, minus 135. The Leafs plus 115. Total of this one is 6, over 6, minus 105, and under 6, minus 115. Let's start here. Normally going into a game like this in years past, after the Leafs lay a couple of stinkers, I would say this is the most obvious Leafs win this one spot of all time. I no longer believe that. I no longer believe in these guys. I don't think that they have it until things change around here and I see something to prove otherwise for a long period of time. I also just will not be buying into it. We'll continue to break it down. We'll continue to talk about what's happening, but I just don't buy into it like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is that LA Kings minus 1.5. We're now going to go over to the player props. The first two guys that I'm throwing into this, Quinton Byfield. Look, reality is he's from Toronto. Toronto guys find a way to score when they play against the Maple Leafs. Quinton Byfield comes home in front of his buddies. He gets on the board. Then we're going to go underneath him. Corey Perry, Maple Leaf killer. Him to score as well. That brings it to plus 2,200. If you want to stop there, I don't blame you. $5 on this one for Corey Perry and Quinton Byfield and LA Kings money line. LA Kings puck line, minus 1.5. $5 pays you $115. But I'm not going to stop because that would not be the Leafy thing to stop there. The Leafy thing would be for Trevor Moore, former Maple Leaf, to also score. So at plus 9,000, we are going to go $5 to pay you $455 for tonight. That is your best bet. It's a long shot, but I just have no faith. I have no faith in these guys. I have no faith in this team. And ultimately, if this happens, things will inevitably have to change. $5 pays you $455. That's your best bet. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications, hit the like button, all of that. Drop your best bets below. Let me know what you think about mine. I look forward to seeing everyone back here following tonight's game on Leafs Nation After Dark, breaking down game number 18 against the LA Kings. Until I see everyone later tonight, keep believing, I guess. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.